Welcome to another Cardano update. Like always, make sure to check out our YouTube memberships and our Patreon if you want access to all of our charts and if you want access to our daily Discord updates. And well, Cardano right now is still going down because Ethereum is going down. I know people do not really want me to talk about Ethereum and Bitcoin in my Cardano video, but it is what it is. I have to talk about them because, well, I mean, whatever Bitcoin does and whatever Ethereum does, Cardano will follow it. And yeah, we need to understand what's happening there in order to understand what's happening on the Cardano chart. Now, speaking of the Cardano chart, we actually have a 1-2 setup on the chart if you actually zoom in on this, and I think we actually have to zoom in on the 30-minute chart. And of course, it's not the best 1-2 setup. However, this first wave could be counted as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this was some kind of ABC to the downside. So right now, if this is a 1-2 setup, the next thing to do would be to get a third wave move to the upside. We have a support, well, actually a resistance level for that and a target for it, and it's at 74.9 cents. Are we going to get there? Well, I don't know. It's highly unlikely in my opinion, especially when I look at Ethereum. I think it's going to continue dropping until probably like Sunday, and then we might get some type of bounce. And if we somehow get a bounce right now, then the next support, actually the next target is 75 cents. That would also put us back above the 200-day moving average, and yeah, we'll see if that happens or not. Cardano just got a double bottom, and we could get to the 0.618 support level again, and maybe we will. It all depends on what Ethereum does, like I said. And if we somehow drop below the extension, please do not panic, because I mean the invalidation of the first wave to the upside right here is at about 27 cents. So theoretically we could even drop to like 38 cents and the structure will still not be invalidated. Now, I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think we will drop that low. But if Ethereum somehow drops below $1,000, then I definitely see that happening, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Now let's look at Ethereum. It's currently at about $1,478, and as you can see, it went down to about 1,388, and I think this is going to continue dropping because if you look at the RSI, and I talked about this many times in my videos and on the Discord server, it's almost oversold on the weekly chart, and I mean, it has only been oversold 2 times in the past on the weekly, and each time we had a big bounce afterwards. For example, the first time this was a bear market low. This was the bear market low of 2018. After that, after getting a weekly wick in the oversold region on the weekly RSI, we had a 95% move to the upside in the next 28 days. And if you look at 2022, which I mean this was also a bear market low, the exact same thing happened. We had a big pump. This was a 62% pump in about 28 days. So I think the altcoin market will get some type of bounce before May, and like I said, I mean, I think the market will still drop, in June and in July, and then we will start going up again at the end of the year. And I think the market drop will still happen no matter what. It always happened during the summer in the previous post-halving years, so I think it's gonna happen in this cycle as well, meaning that Ethereum kind of has to get a bounce very soon. Now, how soon? Well, like I said, right now what we need to wait for is for Ethereum to get a weekly close in the oversold territory on the weekly chart, obviously, and after we do that, we could get a very big bounce because, like I said, the previous 2 times it happened, the bounce was pretty good. So I mean, we'll see if that happens or not. Keep in mind, we fell below the 0.786 support level, and well, the support level right now does not really say anything, because if Bitcoin dominance continues going higher, of course Ethereum will continue dropping, but I think we are very close to bottoming, and honestly I'm probably going to pick up some Ethereum very soon, because I mean, this is a discount, and I told you many times, but the best time to buy altcoins or Bitcoin and Ethereum or something that you want, the best time to buy an asset is when it's down, not when it's going up, and right now it's down quite a lot. So even if we somehow start a bear market right now, I think this will still be a good investment because of what happened on the RSI. So of course, please do not take that as financial advice, but I'm going to buy some Ethereum very soon, probably in the next 2 days or so. Doesn't really matter where it's at when I will buy it. It could be at like 1,600 or 1,100. I don't really care. In the long term, I'm just going to continue holding it. I already bought some at $1,850, and yeah, right now I am down. However, I'm not too sad about that, because I knew something like that could happen, and yeah, I mean, I wanted to buy up there, and in case we actually had some type of bounce, and we did not have a bounce, and that's okay because I think it will still go up again later, so I don't really care. Now, going to the Bitcoin chart, and I know people don't want to, hear about Bitcoin because Bitcoin is not doing too well right now. However, we have to talk about the weekly RSI. As you can see, we fell below the trend line right here, and I believe we already had a close below the weekly RSI right here, which is not good because as you can see in the past, this is where Bitcoin found support multiple times, and right now we are below the trend line, and if we have a second weekly close below the trend line, it could be very bad for Bitcoin, and it could even indicate some type of left translated peak very soon. So if we somehow do not manage to get back above it by the end of Sunday, this could be very bad, and I'm going to give it another week in case, this is just a big fake out. But if next week it also stays below it, I think Bitcoin will most likely get a much bigger drop, and we are most likely in a left translated peak. But until that happens, yeah, I'm not gonna say that because I don't believe that's the case, at least not yet. Now let's go in the 4-hour chart. Let's see what Bitcoin is doing. And well, Bitcoin is just going down right now. It's still at the 50% support level. It got to that support level about, let's say, 3 times so far, and we're most likely dropping to the 0.618, which is at $69,000. So if that happens, Ethereum will most likely drop as well, and Cardano will also drop. So I mean, Bitcoin from where it's at would have to go down about, let's see, about $8,000, which is not really a lot. I mean, it already went down like, let's see, about $40,000 already, so it doesn't really matter. And let's say we drop right now. If we drop right now, that would be a 10% drop, which is not really a lot, and the chart really looks like it's gonna get another drop. So if we actually get this right now, I am expecting a bounce because this is the golden ratio level, and it's very important. And you have to keep in mind, if Bitcoin does not stay above the support level right here, the last chance to bounce would be somewhere around $66,000. If we get below that, we are most likely in a left translated peak. Now, we could get some type of crazy wick and then a crazy bounce after that, but I don't really want to see the price stay in this region right here below the 0.618 support level. If it does, it's most likely a left translated peak. Now let's go back to the Cardano chart because that's all you need to know about Bitcoin and Ethereum in the short term. And well, Cardano is still waiting for, something to happen in the market. Also, I'm sorry, I don't really want to talk about Cardano right now. I actually want to talk about the S&P 500. So yeah, I'm going to talk about something else again. So basically, the stock market is currently down, and this is why everything is dropping. I mean, this drop that happened right here happened before Bitcoin actually had a big move to the downside, and I think this drop actually happened like 1 day earlier than Bitcoin and, Ethereum's drops. So we could have predicted this, and I did tell that it's possible for Bitcoin to also drop later just because the stock market is dropping, and it looks like it does. So, I mean, if this continues going down, I think the Fed at some point will look at the market and think that maybe it's time to start QE. I mean, the last time we started QE was when the S&P 500 and the other stocks and crypto were doing this during the pandemic, and as you can see, the drop that we have right now, obviously it's not as big as what we had right here. However, it is starting to get, pretty big, and if you look at how much we are down right now, let's say this was the high right here, we are down about 22%. Now, that may not seem like a lot because when you look at the bigger picture, I mean, the S&P 500 is still up quite a lot from these lows of November or actually October of 2022. However, this is not that normal, and usually when something like this happens, that's when the Fed, starts QE. Now you have to keep in mind the next Fed meeting is in May, which is like 1 month away. So we could be looking at, a, let's say, boring next couple of weeks, maybe even 1 month. And well, if we do not start QE and we actually end QT in May, and the market could actually, continue dropping until the end of July, and that would actually make sense. But if that happens, Bitcoin will be in a left translated peak, so we don't want to see that. What we want to see is things finally get some type of bounce, and I think the bounce will only happen when the cross on the bull market support band happens, and until that happens, yeah, I cannot really confirm that the low is in, but like I said, for Cardano at least, it is pretty close to the bull market support band when you compare it to some other altcoins. I mean, it's not doing as bad as some other altcoins. Of course, it's at the 0.618 support level of the second, well, actually of the first wave, but it's not doing too bad. I mean, if you look at Solana, for example, it invalidated a very big 1-2 setup, and I think right now it's gonna drop even more. It's also like 5 kilometers away from the bull market support band. It shows no signs of wanting to get back above it, and right now Cardano is way closer to it, so I think there is some hope in the market, but we just have to wait another week or so, I believe, until, like I said, Ethereum gets that weekly close on the RSI. And also I want to talk about ADA Bitcoin as well. As you can see, it's also going down. Now, I don't want to talk about this too much, however, I want to compare this with the Bitcoin dominance chart. Even though Bitcoin dominance is at cycle highs right now, ADA Bitcoin is not at cycle lows, and that's actually very bullish because it means that ADA is showing some type of strength. Now, speaking of that strength, I also have to talk about ADA Ethereum, and this is also a very important chart. Even though Ethereum and ADA are pretty much dropping right now, I mean, as you can see, the ADA Ethereum chart is actually going up, and this is good because I told you this many times in my previous couple of videos. We need to break out of this, falling pattern, because if we do not, ADA will go to zero against Ethereum in the next couple of years, because, I mean, this is just a downtrend with lower lows and higher lows, well, actually lower highs, and this is not good. So what ADA needs to do is finally, let's just say go up against Ethereum, and it has to go up against it about 2.5x to break the 2021 all-time highs and finally break the structure. Is that going to happen? I don't know, but it is possible, and we are very close to the trend line, so getting to that trend line is very, very important right now. I think we will get to it at some point in this year, and I think we will test it, and if we do test it and get back above it, that would be very, very bullish. And that's all you need to know for today. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to check out our YouTube memberships and our Patreon if you want access to all of our charts, and if you want access to our daily Discord updates. Like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.